Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Balls in Our Court podcast. I'm your host today, Kevin. Cortez wussed out on us this morning. He has to come to the realization that he's not as young as he once was. But this morning I got our weekend correspondent on. John's with us. How you doing, John?
I am great. Once again, I got to remind Cortez as well. Cortez, you're closer to 30 than 20. Kevin and I have already ventured into the land of the 30s. We know when it's time to slow down. It is time to slow down. So just take advantage of this, man, and hopefully next weekend you are back running the show.
What? Oh, so you're saying that I can't run the show? I see how. Oh,
Kevin, it's like that's like putting Larry Fine in control, and we all know Shemp runs the Three Stooges. You know.
But anyway, we're going to discuss a few things this morning. We're going to talk about what we saw in week one of preseason football, what we actually watched of it. We'll give a little fantasy football talk, and we'll talk a little bit about the proposed Kevin Love to the Cavs trade, and how they said that the NBA could veto this trade if they really wanted to, but we'll get into that later on. But right now, I do want to talk about the thing that happened last night with Tony Stewart actually hitting somebody in it was a sprint car race, as they call it, where the big gigantic wings on the top of the car and everything, that Tony Stewart actually, a year ago around this time, he broke his leg in an accident in one of these sprint cars, and he got into an accident with, just to break it down real fast, he got in an accident with a young driver named Kevin Ward Jr., and they both got kind of caught up in each other, and Tony kind of pinned him against a wall. Well, dude's car stopped running, so he gets out of the car in the middle of the race, walks down the racetrack, and these are dirt tracks and everything, and starts yelling at Tony Stewart, and Tony Stewart gets sideways and hits the poor gentleman, and we later learned that Kevin Ward Jr. actually passed away later on that afternoon. John, I don't know if you've seen it or anything, but what was your thoughts on it?
I woke up this morning, and it was the first thing on my feed. And it's a dangerous thing. You're on the dirt track. Those cars are going at breakneck speeds. I apologize, the poor pun. But they're going at breakneck speeds. You step out in front of traffic, and you step out in front of a car, reaction time. I know there's a lot of people. Stewart has a reputation of being a dirty, aggressive driver.
And a hothead.
And a hothead. However, I do not believe this is intentional. I believe it was a freak and unfortunate accident. I do believe that they're going to begin making regulations on things like this. I believe in NASCAR, the best thing to do if your vehicle's not on fire, when you wreck your vehicle, stay in your vehicle, let the officials of NASCAR and IndyCar and all different racing societies do their job to slow the race and safely get you out.
Yeah.
Once you get out of a vehicle in situations like that where cars are blown by you at 150 miles an hour, you put yourself at a great risk.
Yep.
It is unfortunate. I don't know if they had words. I don't know what happened. But it is unfortunate, and now in the court of public opinion, Tony Stewart is going to have to take a lot of flack. I don't believe he did it intentional, because the way he hit him, it looked like he was swerving to speed in the sand. I don't think it was on purpose.
Yeah.
However,
he's going to get buried for it.
But there is a very unfortunate circumstance, and all you can do is wish the best for the Ward family. 20 years old is a tragedy, a tragic age to lose your life doing something you love. But I don't think it was intentional. I mean, I'd like to wait for investigations, but I don't think, even if they do investigate, there's going to be enough to consider this an intentional act by Tony Stewart.
Yeah,
however, in the court of public opinion,
he's already buried.
Yeah, he's buried. He's done. Just because fans are so passionate about their racers, I hope he can live this down, but I don't see it. And I would not be surprised if, because of all this, true or not, Tony Stewart is not racing in NASCAR next year, due to the fact that with corporations sponsoring these cars, I don't see any corporation wanting to carry Tony Stewart. Even if he's completely guilty, it's that nasty court of public opinion.
Yep.
The same court that has not forgiven Ray Lewis for 13 years ago and still crucifies Michael Vick.
Yeah.
The court of public opinion is going to be a little different. And I don't think Stewart will be able to recover from this, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the bad thing is he owns his racing team, so he planned on going back today and racing in the NASCAR race. It'll be weird if he actually does, and it'll be kind of interesting to see how the crowd reacts to him at the track today if he actually does and goes race like he said he planned on doing. The authorities. I think
Did I lose you?
I think John's in the moon landing. No, it's just really scratchy. It sounded like you were on the moon.
Yeah, I stepped away from it. Yeah, I think it'd be in the best interest of Tony Stewart in this situation. It'd be in his best interest not to race today.
Yeah.
I think it would be professionally and personally in his best interest.
Yeah.
Just because, the court of public opinion is a mother. And I just don't think that it would be wise for him to go race in another track less than 24 hours after he hit somebody.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if he pulls out of the race.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either. I would not be. I would not be at all. But yeah, they said that the authorities talked to him. Tony seemed really shaken. They haven't filed no papers or anything yet about it. They said there's going to be no. Right now, there's no investigation. It'll probably come later on. But they said right now they're just letting everything calm down and letting things go their ways. They didn't charge Tony with anything that night. So he was free to go and race today if he wanted to. So I hear he's planning on it, whether he does or not. I wouldn't, just because I know how people would react, that they would be like, you mean to tell me you did this and then you're out here racing? But anyway, yeah, our thoughts go out to the Ward family. Very tragic accident. I know a bunch of the racers this morning were on Twitter saying that it was a very tragic thing. Let's keep them all in our prayers. And you got it from one guy who actually had a death on the in his family on the racetrack in Dale Earnhardt Jr. Said very tragic thing. You never know when it'll happen and when you're going to we're all going to lose somebody, but to have them lose in that way is a very tragic thing.
It's an ugly thing.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way around it. But maybe this will make Sprint car and NASCAR and IndyCar reevaluate certain procedures for when accidents happen.
Oh, yeah.
I understand there's flags that come out to slow the drivers down, but still, fluke things happen. Mm-hmm. And honestly, if you ask me, I'm going to say, at the risk of being unpopular, you should have stayed in his vehicle.
Yeah, that's
something they tell you in almost every major, from the time you start driving at the age of 16, in every major accident on every major highway. If you can stay in your vehicle, stay in your vehicle till emergency services arrive.
Yep.
I don't care. I mean, it's sad. If you thought he was wrecked intentionally, that's all well and good. You live to fight another day. You let it be handled, then you address it. You don't get out of your vehicle.
Well, you address it in the pits.
You address it in the pits. I hate to sound like I'm the insensitive one in the situation, but I'm not a NASCAR fan. I have no attack on any driver. But Stewart's being crucified for what was an unfortunate accident.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
But it could have been handled. You should stay in your vehicle.
Yep.
Let it be handled the right way. Don't get out when a car is running by you at 100+ miles an hour and expect them to always be able to stop. You're playing a dangerous risk there. Unfortunately, this time the risk didn't pay off.
Yep.
If any of our listeners want to email me or debate that, you can find me on our Facebook page. I know I might get a little flack for it, but it is what it is. It's an unfortunate situation that could have been handled a little differently.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I've seen the video. I can't say one way or another. It was just a very unfortunate accident. But now we're going to move on to a little pro football. This weekend was, starting Thursday was really the first official weekend of preseason football. And did you watch any games in particular, minus your own?
I watched Buffalo and New York. I watched a little bit of the Carolina-Buffalo game on Friday, a little St. Louis and New Orleans. Of course, I watched Tampa, and I watched the Detroit and Cleveland game of last week.
Yeah. And
was able to do that.
Yeah, I actually went to the Jaguar Buccaneer game. It was actually pretty fun. I just went basically to see all the new stuff they done at the stadium because I knew it was a preseason game. But it was just fun to get to watch a little bit of football. So what did you?
Yeah, I'm glad football is back.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm so glad it's back. I'm going to convulsions with solely baseball season.
And you still got basketball stuff going on as
well.
well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the ESPN's favorite person, Johnny Manziel, they played last night, and of course they're going to call it a good debut. He went 7 of 11 for 63 yards, and I actually think he had 6 rushes for 27 yards. The fact that he ran the ball 6 times and was their leading rusher says to me that this kid's going to get killed in the NFL if he keeps running around like that.
Did anybody besides me? Did anybody besides me think he walked around like a deer in the headlights? I don't. ESPN's got a crush on Johnny Manziel.
Of course, they got a crush.
It's accepted. We learned that during the NFL draft, but it is accepted. He looked like a deer in the headlights, running. They say he had a good, strong debut, but Bortles goes out against Tampa and throws for 117 yards. Yeah, he didn't throw a touchdown.
Nope.
Bortles seemed to be the more controlling quarterbacks. Bridgewater struggled as well. Castle looked better, but they're rookies.
Yep.
And I solely blame Ben Roethlisberger for this perspective that every rookie is supposed to come in as a quarterback and set the world on fire.
Yep. Because even the more recent ones like Andrew Luck have been thrown in and everything. They played well, but has Andrew Luck really put up the stats to make everybody go, "Wow, this kid is amazing"? RG3 had better stats than him during his first season, but then in the second season, RG3 goes, he's injured most of the year, so you don't get to see him. And then Andrew Luck has another average, I'm going to call it an average year for a quarterback. It's just because he plays in a really crappy division that the Colts were able to make the playoffs.
See, Andrew Luck is in an ugly situation, so I will defend Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is coming and playing, following up, arguably the greatest quarterback of our generation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to say of all time. I don't feel like having an argument. But arguably the greatest quarterback of our generation, Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
And he came in with the weight of the world, Indianapolis, on his shoulders. They cut Peyton Manning, which was not a very popular move in Indianapolis. They cut Peyton Manning. They drafted this kid number 1.
Yep.
And he went out and got them to the playoffs their first year. Mm-hmm. Something Manning didn't even do.
No.
So he's handled the situation good. Is he a great quarterback? Is he an elite quarterback? No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Will he be an elite quarterback in the future? I don't know. But stats don't lie. He's had 2 winning seasons in the playoff, 2 winning seasons, 2 playoff victories. He orchestrated that beautiful comeback against Kansas City in last year's playoffs. The sky's the limit. However, what you got to look for is Reggie Wayne's not getting any younger.
Nope.
Austin Collie you have there, and you have T.Y. Hilton. However, is he going to continue to be able to perform once these guys move on? That is the question I need to ask.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I went to the Jaguar Buccaneer game. What was your take on your Bucks there?
You still with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
I have technical difficulties over here.
No problem. What was your take on your Bucks in that Bucks Jaguar game?
Boy, I hope our offensive line holds up a little bit better than they did. That made me nervous. McCown looked like a deer in headlights. I don't know if the Jaguars' defense has gotten that much better or our offensive line is just not gelling. We have 3 new starters. And Joseph and Donald Penn are 2 Pro Bowl offensive linemen. So I wonder. Part of me wonders, was it just a bad performance? McCown was awful, to say the least. Glenn looked good, but Glenn might not be the answer just yet. Yeah. So it made me a little nervous. Defensively, we held up well, I believe. I mean, the only touchdown in the first half was a pick six.
Yep.
So I don't know. I just hope our offensive line holds up a little better because if not, we could be in for a very long season. Because as McCown has proven, he is not the most mobile quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to go the other way, and I think our defense has improved. The Jaguars definitely. It looks like that defensive line is going to be one of those that the more and more they play together, and they're really deep. So the more and more they play together, they're going to just get better and better and better. And I noticed on the nickels we bring in Telvin Smith, who was really fast, and he was the guy that got in your quarterback's in mug on that pick six. So I'm hoping that it wasn't a fluke and that our defense is actually getting better and better because they looked really good in the beginning of the game last night, the other night, and I'm just glad to see that we actually got some depth. But our offensive line, we can't even get a center to hike the damn ball to our quarterback without throwing it over his head. It looked like we went and got Denver's quarterback for the first half of the Super Bowl, just hiking the ball over people's heads. But I'm just hoping it was a fluke and that they can get it down and everything like that. But I think Tampa's defense is going to be pretty good, and I think our defense is going to be pretty good. I know I'm just shaky on both of the offenses right now.
Yeah, our offensive line was abysmal, to say the least. I won't say our offensive lines, our interior linemen.
Yeah.
The tackles played well, but when we signed Edmund Dietrich Smith, we drafted a rookie guard, and it did not seem to gel like I wanted it to. Yeah. I know it's preseason, there's bugs to be worked out, but if that's a sign of things to come, it could be a very long season.
And it's only the first game, so they got some games to be able to. We may see some improvement on both of our. It sounds like we had both of the same concerns on both of our teams, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it definitely is. I would like to point out something, and I will commend. First of all, I'll commend the broadcast I watched of it.
Uh-huh.
The St. Louis New Orleans game. Did you watch any of that?
I watched a little bit.
So St. Louis and New Orleans played first game of the preseason in St. Louis. Michael Sam played. Yeah. As we all know, we're not going to get into Michael Sam drama. It's been beat over the head. Now, Michael Sam played.
Yep.
He had 2 quarterback pressures and 2 tackles. I believe it's a great start for someone trying to make the team, showing that maybe the undersized defensive end with the short arms, which was his original critique before he came out as openly gay, shows he might, based on technique, be able to play in this league.
Yep.
What I want to commend the broadcast for I caught on the NFL Network was there wasn't any other mention about anything else.
Yeah, they just talked about his football play.
They talked about his football. It was Marshall Faulk and Torrey Holt, and I believe the voice of the Rams, forgive me if I can't recall his name. But there was very little mention of anything else but kid he played football. And from what I've seen, it looks like he might be able to play in the league. I know it was preseason, he's playing the Saints. Drew Brees was not in the game. However, he had a solid performance for an undersized rookie. He showed why he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year in a very small portion.
Yep.
So that was definitely an impressive thing to see as well. So
yeah,
I like what I've seen from week 1 of the preseason. We got a long way to go. I know it's only the preseason, but this is where stars are made and broken.
Yep.
So it definitely gives a little interest to the fans.
Yeah, I actually got to watch the St. Louis game because they had we have scoreboards in the corner of the stadium, so you can watch the games from other places in the corners of the stadium, and that's what they're going to be doing throughout the year. That was just some more of the little nuances and the stuff they done at the stadium. You've been to the stadium. You've seen what it looked like before. You would walk in there now, and it looks like a completely different place.
Do whatever they can to draw fans. That's what it comes down to with Jacksonville. Jacksonville is not one of the better teams to draw fans. So
we had 59,000 there for a preseason game. But see, the thing is, everybody always says, well, the seats are empty and everything. It's because all the drunk people are standing in what we call the bud zone. So they go and stand in one end of the end zone and stand there and drink, and they're about 20, 30 deep all the way into the bud zone. So just because you see empty seats doesn't mean there's not people there because they're actually doing other things in the stadium. I just wanted to point that out because we always get murdered and everything like that. But we've had more people show up to games than Pittsburgh has last year. So just want to throw that out there for anybody that's wondering how many people go to Jaguar games. But anyway, we're going to move on to a little. A little fantasy football talk. We and Cortez have been talking. We're thinking about starting up a fantasy football league for the Balls in Our Court podcast. Maybe a few of our faithful listeners, some of the people that we've had on, like John, maybe we may get involved into this league, but those details will be coming up later on. John, you got any like fantasy sleepers from your own team, from your from just the league that you see as being maybe a guy that people are going to look under the radar at?
Absolutely. I have one in particular. I talked about him on draft day. He's not playing for Tampa, but he plays within the division.
Yep.
Kelvin Benjamin, the wide receiver from the Carolina Panthers.
From FSU.
I looked from Florida State. He made the catch. I looked for him to be a fantasy sleeper. And he's got the build. He's 6'5". He's a big receiver. Of course, everybody in the NFC South is a big receiver, if you've not noticed.
Yep.
But not only that, but he'll get you some fantasy points based on one simple fact. Who else does Cam Newton have to throw to this year?
That's it.
They lost Steve Smith.
Yep.
They've been a receiver by committee besides Steve Smith. You get the 6'5" target in there.
Yep.
From everything I've read, he's picked up the offense well. He had a touchdown in the preseason game on Friday night. I look for Kelvin Benjamin to be a fantasy sleeper coming out of the NFC South. Yeah. Other than that, some obvious fantasy picks out of the NFC South. You obviously got your Vincent Jackson, a solid possession receiver in Tampa.
Yep.
You've got the Twins in Atlanta, Jones and White. They're always legitimate picks. But as for sleepers, the biggest sleeper I would see is Kelvin Benjamin from Carolina. I would definitely see as the biggest sleeper in the NFC South.
Yeah, as far as maybe around the teams in concern and everything like that, probably one of the any running back that they got in New England, you got to pick one of them and write them out, because I know that New England does that quarterback by their running back by committee up there, but they always have one guy that usually gets all the touches. Shane Vereen's always been a sleeper to me because usually nobody ever picks him, and I always get him later on. But look at Danny Woodhead over in San Diego as being a guy that stays under the radar a lot, and he'll be a good pickup for a little later on in the rounds and stuff like that. I always try to get Danny because he'll spill Matthews, and we all know Matthews is a injury waiting to happen. So Danny Woodhead would probably be a good pickup for me. But yeah, keep looking out and keep seeing if we post anything about our fantasy league up there, because it looks like we're probably going to be starting one for the podcast. Some of the listeners, and like I said, some of the people that join us on the podcast. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be right back with y'all. And welcome back to the Balls in Our Court podcast. Sorry there is no music in between your break. I'm doing this today. Cortez is not here. Cortez usually the one that goes and finds a song and everything like that. Me, I could care less. I just want to talk with John and get this over with. Well, not really get it over with, but
we don't need a catchy song.
Yeah, we let our voices entertain you instead of songs, which hopefully we're doing a good job. But we're going to talk some more fantasy football. We're going to look at the defensive side of the ball. I know there's some fantasy leagues where you just draft one defense, but there's also some leagues where you can draft some players and stuff like that. So, John, go ahead. You were saying earlier that you had a few defenses that were on the radar.
There's 3 defenses out there that are normally not your pickups. Maybe last year one of them became a pickup. There's 3 defenses I would recommend every fan of fantasy football to take a look at. Are the St. Louis Rams, the Houston Texans, and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
All 3 of these teams have reason to be better. The Rams should be. I would not be surprised if they're the number 1 defense in the league at the end of the season. The Buffalo Bills, they've always had a solid defense, but only thing that holds me back on getting them is the injury to Kiko Alonso, the middle linebacker, the second middle linebacker. However, the Buffalo Bills are definitely a team to take a look at. Lastly, the Houston Texans. A traditionally strong defense with with Brian Cushing and J.J. Watt.
Yep.
They just added Jadeveon Clowney.
Yep.
Something to look at. Now you've got two high-end, high-speed pass rushers on the defensive line with Brian Cushing. These teams are definitely teams you take a look at defensively. You can also say the Carolina Panthers and the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
But those teams usually go early to mid-round when it comes to drafting defenses. But definitely those 3 teams, the Rams, the Bills, the Texans, defenses, I would definitely consider drafting.
Yeah, usually when I look at defenses, I look and see, I always take into account what division they play in. And with the Texans, you only have Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and Tennessee, and Tennessee looks absolutely horrible. Jacksonville looks like they're improving, and then you got Indianapolis. So the Houston Texans wouldn't be a bad pick because you play those teams 2 times a year. So you get that you get those weaker games and everything. Same thing for up in Buffalo. They're in a weaker division. St. Louis has to have a good defense because they have to go up against all those pretty good offenses in San Francisco, Seattle, and Arizona. So they definitely have a good defense just based on what they have to go up against every time. So those will be pretty good sleeper picks. Another one I look at, and I'm being biased, but I think with all the improvements and everything, Jacksonville would be a good late sleeper pick. If you had to look at a couple of defensive players, like if you could draft the positions and stuff like that and draft a guy for your defense, who would you go and look after?
Draft a guy for my defense?
Yeah. Just like usually I always go after, like, if you have a defensive player you could always go after, I always go after like a middle linebacker because they always have 100-something tackles in a season and you always get a point for every tackle they get and everything like that. So
for us, you could easily out of Tampa, Levante David would be a legitimate fill there. He came in with 183 tackles last year, outside linebacker for Tampa. In the middle, though, you've got Posluszny out of Jacksonville.
Yep.
You've got Luke Kuechly from Carolina. I'd recommend. You've got a lot out there, a lot of solid middle linebackers. I'm not sure if Jonathan Vilma's ever going to return to form. But Von Miller is another one you could pick up. Miller's a steady, over 100 tackle guy.
And he gets sacks.
And Terrell Suggs, another prime example, sack and tackle maker. I never mess with those. I always go to the defenses I usually play are team defenses because when you get the specialty players, I don't have that type of time.
Yeah, because usually in our one with that Cortez usually runs with us, we always have it where we can go and get that one defensive guy. Everybody always goes and gets corners and everything like that. And continuously every year I go and pick up Paul Posluszny. and he scores me 10, 11, 12 points every single game because he's always the one making all the tackles, so you get a point for every tackle he makes. Might as well go and pick up somebody like that. But that gives you a little leeway if you're thinking about playing some fantasy football on some of the defenses and stuff we think would make a good pickup for you, especially later on in the rounds whenever you forgot about it in Seattle, San Francisco, all the big wigs are gone. So those are some to look for in your later rounds that you maybe you'll be able to pick up. Now we're going to adjust over. I don't know if you probably kept up with it or not. The Kevin Love going to Cleveland deal that's coming up. What do you think about that?
First of all, someone needs to investigate the Cleveland Cavaliers for tampering.
Yep.
First and foremost, somebody needs to investigate the Cleveland Cavaliers for tampering.
Yep.
Because this, however, is not supposed to be done till the 23rd of August.
Yep.
Because they signed Andrew Wiggins. No, they couldn't deal with him for 23 days. Or 30 days, excuse me. However, this seems like on the 23rd of August, this is just going to be a formality. Kevin Love is a Cleveland Cavalier.
Mm-hmm.
Someone needs to investigate the NBA or the Cleveland Cavaliers for tampering. Because this reeks of the Minnesota Timberwolves fiasco with Joe Smith from about 10 years ago.
Where they already had the agreement to the deal.
Exactly.
And
This reeks of Kevin McHale and Joe Smith from it was like 2003, 2002.
Yeah, it was 2003.
This reeks of this. Somebody needs to investigate the Cleveland Cavaliers from the get-go. Take draft picks. Second of all, poor Andrew Wiggins. Did you see the interview on ESPN last week?
Yep, we talked about that last week. Yep.
I was busy doing my fatherly duties last weekend, so I could not be here. I apologize, but
no problem.
What a poor Andrew Wiggins, man. Yep. They have essentially taken the biggest highlight of his young life, first-round draft pick. Cleveland decided, you know what, you're the best player in the NBA draft. We want you. We don't know what LeBron's going to do. We want you. We're going to build our team around you. You're going to be our guy. We want you.
Now you don't want him no more.
It's a big deal for a 19-year-old kid. First-round pick, first pick in the NBA draft, number 1 overall. We want you.
Yep.
And then in a matter of months,
now we don't want you no more.
The rug is jerked out from underneath his feet. His mindset's got to be. It's overwhelming being a rookie as it is. His mindset has to be very shaky right now. It's almost to the point that I could excuse him having a bad rookie season because he has not gotten what most rookies get. And then you have the awkward interview on ESPN, and that's the best way to put it. It was an awkward interview on ESPN, where it's almost like the ESPN analysts were probing him for, do you think they want you? Do you think they want you? Just Andrew Wiggins is the worst part of it.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the kid, and when he answered it, I'm like, look, I just want to play for somebody who wants me, and I feel sorry for the poor kid. He's going to be a good player, and all of this coming upon that, basically they want to turn Cleveland into Miami North, and people are arguing. Well, look at this. Kevin Love's younger, and so is Kyrie Irving and those guys in Miami. But if you look at it, has Kevin Love played? I think Kevin Love's played one full season in his whole NBA career, and he's missed games like every single year that he's been in the league. And the same can be said for Kyrie Irving. Are you trusting these guys to play a whole season?
Not just a whole season. We don't see. Think of the wear and tear 82 games gets on your body. You get into the playoffs, you're looking anywhere from 95 to 100 games just to get to the NBA Finals.
Yep.
So this is a huge risk. I know I've seen the memes on the internet that kind of made me laugh, but the Andrew Wiggins interview kind of reminded me of the scene in the Fresh Prince.
The scene in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
But if anybody. Andrew Wiggins is getting the worst of this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree wholeheartedly.
He is. And I really think the NBA needs to look into the Cleveland Cavaliers for tampering.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
It reeks of underhanded shit. There's no way to put it.
There's been reports that the NBA is going to look in it and They may possibly veto it, but I'm going because it's LeBron James. They're not going to do anything about it.
If this was such a big deal, they wanted Kevin Love, why wasn't this trade offered at draft day?
Yep.
And it comes back to one thing, LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
I went off on this a few weeks ago on the podcast that LeBron James was taking his own, does his own thing. But it comes down to basically that there's something wrong here. Something's not right here.
Nope.
And
I agree.
hopefully the NBA looks into this, because if not, you're setting the precedent for other teams.
I still find it funny that the Chris Paul for Paul Gasol to the Lakers was just completely null, void, everything, but yet they're going to let this kind of trade go through.
Has not went through yet. It's what, August 8th, August 9th?
Yeah.
It's August 10th. Got 13 days left before this trade can be made official. So it's not for sure yet. The NBA's got plenty of time. This will be another time for Adam Silver to step in.
Yep.
He got great approval when the way he handled the Sterling fiasco. This is another way. David Stern let a lot of things slide. I was always a harsh critic of the way David Stern ran the NBA. Adam Silver needs to step in and take a look at this. The NBA needs to step in and take a look at this. This just reeks of underhanded tampering on the part of the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, yeah.
Both teams, and again, it goes back to the Minnesota Timberwolves again.
Yep.
So definitely take a look at this, because something is not right.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly. Well, we're breezing right through this thing, so I guess we're going to go ahead and do our little fun segment for today. Me and John talked last night. We were thinking about doing... go ahead, John. What were we thinking about doing today? I already forgot.
NFL, with the fantasy draft coming up, fantasy worlds are all the rage now with different cosplays and things of that nature. I'm thinking it's time to take a look at the NFL with the popular movie, The Avengers.
Yeah.
And we're going to recast The Avengers using the players from the NFL.
Oh, right. So we're going to do, are we going to do just all the good guys?
What were the six you suggested to me yesterday?
Well, I said we do some of the bigger superheroes, Superman, Batman, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and the Hulk. I say we do those because those are the big guys that everybody likes. So I'll let you go first, and we'll start off with Superman.
Superman, the Man of Steel, downright invincible, always delivers, never seems to have anything go wrong, and has a pretty hot Lois Lane. Superman is Tom Brady.
Yeah. Yep, that one sounds pretty good. Superman, I always think of a guy that can leap over tall buildings in a single bound, almost bulletproof. I'm going to go with Calvin Johnson as Superman. Just because he can jump really high and he leaps over the tall buildings in a single bound. That's what I always remember about the Superman cartoon. All right.
Yeah.
Let's
Runs faster than everybody else, jumps higher than everybody else.
Yeah, he's a freak.
He absolutely is.
All right. We'll go with Batman now. Go ahead, John.
Batman, mysterious one. We're not sure if he's a vigilante or just plain crazy. Puts his body at risk on and off the field. Hey, Batman is Jay Cutler, the chain-smoking quarterback from the Chicago Bears. Jay Cutler would definitely be Batman.
But see, I always look at Batman being the smart detective, the one that'll dissect you apart as far as he'll break your legs, he'll dissect your moves and everything else. So I'm going to go with a guy that dissects NFL defenses all the time. I'm going to go with Peyton Manning.
Could you imagine Peyton Manning as Batman?
His head thing would be huge.
Right.
His cowl would be huge and enormous.
Yeah, no shit.
All right, so now we are going to go to the male people in the Avengers, but we're going to go to the big four of the Avengers. Let's go ahead and we're going to do Captain America.
Captain America. Good old Captain America. This is going to be a tough one. There's so many people. Captain America wanted to fight, had to be genetically altered, but a big-time patriot, loves his country, wouldn't want to meet him in the dark alley, physically imposing, very, very soft but nasty disposition at times. Captain America is J.J. Watt.
Hey, that's a nice pick. My Captain America, I'm going to go with my Jacksonville Jaguars, and the guy fits the mold. I always think of this big, husky guy, and I always look at him, and you picture Captain America, and we talked about him earlier. In the fantasy thing, I'm going to go with Paul Posluszky, because he has the look and everything of Captain America. All right, so now we're going to switch over. We're going to switch over to Iron Man.
Iron Man. Quite simple. Everything's Iron Man. Tony Stark, high-tech gadgets. I think Iron Man as in, this dude's made of iron. This dude is almost unbreakable and downright invincible. This is the type of dude that would blow his knee out in the last week of week 11, and come back and rush for almost 2,100 yards the following year. Iron Man is Adrian Peterson.
Yep, that's a very good one. You can almost go Peyton Manning-ish with his neck and everything with Iron Man, but
to destroy your knee like he did and come back 6 months later.
Oh yeah, Yep. My Iron Man, I'm going to go with a guy who's you can't really say that ever since he's got into the games, he's played all the games and everything, but I always look at a guy that's a precision. He's always precision. He likes to be that guy that's kind of the cocky, take charge kind of guy. You always see him on a bunch of commercials and everything like that. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers being my Iron Man.
Hey, he's doing this discount double take for you right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to go with Aaron being my Iron Man. All right. Now we got Thor, the guy that always drops the hammer on everybody. So this obviously has to be a defensive guy for both of us. Go ahead,
Thor.
Jim. Yep.
Very simple. If you watched the Cleveland Browns game last night, you'll know who I'm talking about. Dante Hitmer.
There you go.
Dante Hitmer. He put the hammer down on some poor bastard from Detroit last night.
There you go. I'm going to go with Thor. You always the hard-hitting, big, gigantic safety or corner. You know what? My Thor, because you have to be an elegant speaking almost type to be Thor. I'm going to go with Richard Sherman as my Thor. He has kind of that elegant speaking.
Richard Sherman?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Richard Sherman.
Holy Jesus.
Yep. And so now our last one, we're going to go with Hulk Smash. We're going to go with the Incredible Hulk.
The Incredible Hulk, a.k.a. the mild-mannered Bruce Banner.
Yep.
Only hits a switch when he's angry, and when he gets angry, you don't want to see him very angry. The type of guy that would just step on you while you were down. Type of guy like Ndamukong Suh.
Why did you take my guy? Okay, Incredible Hulk. These are these guys that mild manner. You meet them and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" They're all mild mannered. They'll talk to you and everything. But then once they hit the field, they become this different person and get all hyped up. And this would be easy for guys that back in the day I could find 18 guys that I would consider the Incredible Hulk. Now I look at a guy like used to play for Seattle, now he plays in Jacksonville, Red Bryant, because this man is 6'5", 6'6". He weighed close to 400 pounds. Sweet, gentle man off of the field, talks to everybody on the field, rah, and starts throwing people around. So I'm going to go with Red Bryant as my Incredible Hulk.
Red Bryant, I have to look him up. That name does not ring a bell.
Dude,
offensive lineman, I'm assuming.
No, he's a defensive lineman. He played in Seattle last year. He's kind of they call him a run-stuffing defensive end. The man is a monster. John, I kid you not, he is one of the biggest human beings I have ever seen.
I'll have to look him up. Red Bryant. I'm going to look him up right now while I'm checking stats.
Okay.
Red Bryant.
Now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and close out our show. That was our little fun segment for today. I know it didn't last that long.
Holy Lord, he's a moose.
Yeah, he's a big boy. We didn't have Cortez here, so we went a little shorter than usual. But make sure you go and visit us on our Facebook page at the Balls in Our Court podcast. Just type it in, look it up. We'll pop right up. John, where can they find you?
Find me on the Facebook page, Balls on a Court podcast.
There you go. You can find me on Twitter at KevinC2415. As always, you can find the show at the Balls in Our Court podcast on Twitter as well. You can find Cortez at In the Mind of CP. And you can find all of us on our Facebook page again. And make sure you go and visit the hardwoodnation.com. Go on there. It's the only place, the NBA source for fans by fans. So y'all go and please check that out for us. And for John, I'm Kevin. Y'all have a good Sunday afternoon and enjoy what games may be on today, or I don't know if there's any football.
Go to the NFL Network. They're on 24 hours a day.
Yep, they'll have all your first week preseason games all on today. So y'all go and enjoy. Say goodbye to the people, John.
Goodbye, people.
All right, y'all take it easy.